Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome to this episode of the Live Train Perform podcast. I'm your host, Sean Kober, and joining me today is Wes Masters. Wes, I'm excited to have a conversation with you, mate. I've spoken to a couple of guys that you know very well, Simon Moloney and Paul Minter, and we're going to hear your side of the story in today's episode. So first of all, welcome to the episode, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Cobes. Great to be here. Yeah, honestly, I watched your previous podcast, and it's great to be on.
Awesome, man. Incredible story that we're going to dig into. But to lead into that, talk to me about the 4th of July. When I mentioned that date, what does that mean to you? What emotions come up? What feelings come up?
Oh, hit me deep there. So yeah, it's reminds me of 4th of July 2013 when I think we had quite a hairy day in Afghanistan, myself and the troop. And yeah, one of the boys, Simon, who you had on previously, got took a round to the neck. I was one of the medics on the ground that day. I was the medic assigned to that troop, and yeah, so I kind of went up, moved up to him, treated him, got him extracted, and we had a real difficult time to make it out of there. And thankfully, our American colleagues came in and just peppered the place and managed to get us out alive. So yeah, that's what the 4th of July means to me. It kind of makes me feel a little bit patriotic American when I'm really not at all. But yeah, I do. It makes me feel things.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Totally understandable. And we're going to dive into that in a little bit more detail. We are recording this on Thursday, the 22nd of July. So that was obviously recent, that anniversary for you. What did you do what do you do? Do you do like anything to kind of celebrate that anniversary, or, I say celebrate because, I've been in the ship before and was awarded, commendation for gallantry and like, it's a celebration, man. Like, fuck, I lived. Our boys are still alive. Like, we're good to go. So, what sort of thoughts and feelings are evoked when that date comes up for you? And do you celebrate it? Is it something that you kind of put behind you? Like, how do you approach that?
Yeah, it's something that everyone has their own journey, right? But it's something I had to put behind me. And yeah,
Yeah.
me and Sai will send each other a message. We'll just be like, "I love you, bro," or something like that, and or "Love you, proud of you," something like that. We'll just drop each other just a subtle message, and that'll be it. I will probably get a little bit anxious around that time, as I do around other kind of key dates in the year that have significance from Afghanistan. But nothing too major. Yeah, maybe I won't be able to sleep or something that I'll have difficulty sleeping. But yeah, I don't really go out and get smashed or anything like that, specifically dedicated to the day. Not that I'm against it, but just my process was I had to let it all go, man. I had to move on.
Yeah, fuck. Absolutely, mate. And everyone deals with things differently, right? So, this podcast is all about mental health and talking to people like yourself who have faced, some pretty fucking extreme adversities and, have come out the other side. And then we dig into, the principles and the tools that you've used to, deal with those things and overcome them and continue fucking living your life, man. So that's pretty much what this conversation is going to be all about. But before we roll into that conversation, I'm just going to read something off here. So hopefully I don't bring up too many emotions or start stirring anything. Then a private Masters troop landed by helicopter and broke into their target area, an insurgent command node at first light. Placing a team in overwatch on the compound roof, the troop moved in to search another target. The enraged enemy began occupying firing positions around the troop, engaging the overwatch team and firing from 2 other positions onto Masters patrol. At 0620 hours, one member of the Overwatch team was shot through the neck, the round passing behind his voice box, grazing his trachea and narrowly missing arteries in his neck by less than a millimeter. Masters' troop were pinned down by carefully coordinated and accurate enemy fire. Knowing that a member of his troop had been shot, Masters reacted without waiting for orders and moved straight to his injured comrade across 300 meters of open ground, weighed down by 60 kilograms of equipment and in full sight of 2 enemy firing positions only 150 meters away. Masters remained calm despite being under fire and confronted by an extremely rare, complicated and delicate injury he had no previous experience of. Underslung grenade rounds were landing within 4 meters of Masters, but despite the risk to his own life, he remained focused on stabilizing the casualty. His pragmatic medical treatment kept the casualty from deteriorating whilst waiting for medical evacuation, and remarkably, under strict supervision and robust management, even allowed for the injured soldier to keep firing. Finally, Masters escorted the soldier for casualty evacuation, and on moving to the helicopter, he again consciously exposed himself to enemy fire to ensure his patient was protected before returning to the fight for a further hour before the troop managed to extract. What comes up when you hear that, bro?
Yeah, mate, you made me all emotional. You made me feel things. Yeah, I don't know why that
Got you right in the feels, mate.
gives me. Yeah, mate. Yeah, you had me little shed a tear a little bit, but yeah, I don't know why that gives me that reaction. Maybe it's just because it's been a while, but maybe it's just the process of how I left it all behind, and it kind of drags me straight back. And in the moment, I mean, I was like anyone, you've been out there. It's all a joke, and I didn't care if I got whacked. I was just doing what you do, I guess. But yeah, now some time's gone by, I guess, and when you think about it, it's yeah, especially those moments, it's, I don't know, you think, wow, I kind of did something like out of the ordinary there, and yeah, it makes you, I guess, proud of yourself, where I guess before those times you wouldn't have had a huge amount to be proud of. I wouldn't have had a huge amount to be proud of myself for. So yeah, to be kind of, I guess, the same person on a Monday and then on Tuesday, but Tuesday I did this act, and then apparently I'm all this different person. Yeah, it's mad. It kind of, yeah, makes you a little emotional.
Yeah, sorry about that, mate. I wanted to kick
No,
that
no,
off,
mate, no.
just to give people
That's
an
all right.
understanding of why we're having this conversation.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah, but
I
dude, I totally
wondered.
understand where you're coming from, man. Like, go on.
Oh yeah, well, it's. I was gonna say I wondered why he asked me for that citation, that little slippery snake, Simon. Um, but yeah, it's yeah. There's all the things that come around it, right? It was a great time in my life. I was with my best friends, and coming from a difficult family situation to be thrust in, and you have this amazing family around you who will give their lives for you, to then, yeah, to then be challenged and have like one of the world's what was highlight enemy at that time, like bearing down on you, and has whacked one of your mates, to then step the fuck up and be like, yeah, no, we're as good as you, and I'll tell you right now, I'm prepared to die today, are you? And like, turns out they weren't. So yeah, man, it was a
Yep.
great day. And yeah, I think we all struggled to sleep for the next couple nights because of the rush of it all. And yeah, and I think as well, the
Yeah, mate.
good that we did
Yeah,
that
I
day
can I
is
can imagine, man.
it doesn't, in the citation it doesn't say it, and we don't talk about it too much. But as a medic, I think of things from another angle a lot of the time, and we disrupted basically a school where they were from the local area. They were killing families and taking the children to put them in this compound and then raise them up as extremists. And they had like 30 odd kids there. And we disrupted that. And that's why they fought so hard to try and keep it. And yeah, man, it makes you proud to think that somewhere there could be, even if just one of those kids like goes on and becomes a scientist or does something, like, it's obviously the chances are slim, but the chances are slim that you survive a gunshot wound to the neck, so anything can happen. But yeah, mate, to think of the good that
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
do out
absolutely.
there is just off the back of having a real good scrap. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck yeah, man. That's awesome, mate. First of all, like, I'm proud of you, bro. We'll dive into, that day, how the events unfolded. I've already spoken about it in detail with Simon, but I want to hear it from your point of view as well. And then we'll talk about you being awarded the Military Cross by the Queen as well. Prior to that, though, one of the first questions that I ask people as a guest on the podcast is around the Swiss 8 principles. So you've obviously spoken to Sai, and those guys are working through the head up stuff and building that charity over in the UK. Swiss 8 has been doing something very similar in Australia for the last couple of years. They initially had a very similar idea of building a retreat for veterans to be able to go away and teach people these life skills to reintegrate back into society, and use these and repurpose, these SOPs, standard operating procedures, and things like that we learnt in the military to then repurpose them, use them in the civilian space. Unfortunately, one of the boys ended up taking his own life, which is a problem for you guys over there, a problem for us in Australia. It's a problem for, veterans in the US, most coalition forces. So Swiss 8 actually ended up coming up with an app that people could download and structure in and schedule 8 pillars of health and wellness onto their phone. And then each one of those pillars would have like a veteran like myself who's providing content. So I provide a training program under the fitness component, and another one of the boys provided the mindfulness work under the mindfulness component, etc., etc.